Welcome to Today English Podcast. Here, we don't just learn English, we feel it. In every episode, you'll listen slowly, think deeply, and practice speaking with meaning and emotion. Today's topic is something that touches every heart. What makes life meaningful? So, take a deep breath, find a quiet place, and just listen slowly, calmly, completely. Because when you listen with your heart, English becomes more than a language. It becomes a way to understand life. Imagine this. You're sitting alone, maybe in your room, maybe near a window. The world outside is quiet. You can hear the wind, a soft hum, maybe a distant sound of life moving somewhere far away. But here, in this moment, it's just you and your mind. You take a deep breath. You let it out slowly. And in that gentle silence, you hear your own thoughts in your language, thoughts that feel natural, comfortable. But now you begin to listen for something else. You begin to listen for English. This is where the sync begins. You see, learning English is not only about words or grammar or accent. It's about rhythm. The rhythm of how your mind moves, how your emotions flow, how your ideas come alive in another language. And today, we will begin to tune that rhythm. Not by studying hard, but by feeling the language. Take another deep breath, in and out. As you listen, don't try to memorize. Don't try to repeat every line perfectly. Just feel the English. Let it move through you like music, like a quiet wave. Because English fluency is not about pressure. It's about connection. It's about syncing your inner voice with the sound of your heart. Maybe for a long time, you've felt stuck. Maybe you can read English well. You understand movies. You write messages. But when you speak, you pause, you search for words, you feel a small fear in your chest. That's okay. That fear is natural. It means your brain cares. It means you want to express yourself truly. And this journey, this deep self-sync, is about transforming that feeling into peace. Let's start simple. Close your eyes if you can. And say softly, inside your mind, I am learning. I am growing. I am syncing. English is not just a tool, it's a bridge. A bridge that connects you to the world, to people, to emotions you've never said aloud. And to cross that bridge, you need calmness, not speed. You need trust, not fear. So, from now, let's imagine English as something alive. Not a subject, not a test, but a voice that lives inside you. When you listen carefully, it grows stronger. When you fight yourself, it hides. But when you breathe, when you listen with peace, it flows. Now, imagine yourself walking through a quiet city at night. Streetlights shine softly. A few cars pass. The air is cool. And you are walking, step by step, thinking in English. You don't translate. You don't worry. You just walk and you think. Your mind and your words start to move together, like the sound of your footsteps. This is English flow. Most learners forget this simple truth. Fluency is not built in the mouth, it's built in the mind. When your mind becomes peaceful, your words come naturally. When your thoughts stop fighting, your sentences become clear. You cannot speak with tension. You can only speak with trust. So today, as we begin this long, deep practice, I invite you to slow down, to breathe, to listen to every word not as study, but as sound. This is where real English learning begins, inside silence, inside calmness. You might ask yourself, why do I always forget words? Or why can't I speak even after years of study? Let me tell you. It's because you learn to study English, but not to sync with English. You learn to fill your mind, but not to free it. Today, we reverse that. Today, we empty the noise. We let English enter not as a lesson, but as a feeling. When you hear a word, don't repeat it like a robot. Repeat it like it means something. Say it with emotion. Say it with your breath. That's how you begin to sound natural. Fluency is not speed. Fluency is peace in motion. It's when your voice follows your thoughts without fear, without hesitation. Think of it like music. A song sounds beautiful not because it's fast, but because it has rhythm, emotion, and flow. Your English can be like that, smooth, emotional, full of life. And to create that, you need to connect deeply to your inner rhythm. This is your self-sync. Your mental alignment between how you think, how you feel, and how you speak. So, in this first stage, we'll do something simple. For the next few minutes, every time I speak, listen carefully. Not with your mind only, with your body. Notice how the words rise and fall. Notice the pauses. Notice the breath. That's the hidden rhythm of English, the one you were never taught in school. Because when you learn to hear rhythm, your tongue moves more naturally. Your sentences become smoother. You begin to feel when a word fits, not just remember it. This is how native speakers speak. They don't calculate grammar in real time. They flow with emotion and rhythm. And you can too. You might be wondering, how do I train that? Simple. Listen deeply. Shadow slowly. Feel emotionally. Speak with breath. When you shadow, don't rush. Don't chase the sound. Follow the breath. If the speaker pauses, you pause. If the voice rises, you rise. This is syncing. Let me show you an example. When I say, I am learning, you say it in your mind softly with breath. When I say, I am calm, you feel the calm. When I say, I am growing, you imagine it. That imagination connects emotion with language. When your body feels the meaning, your brain remembers it. This is emotional learning, the fastest way to build fluency naturally. You don't need to memorize 10,000 words. You need to feel 1,000 words deeply. That's how you speak with power and truth. So, from now on, every time you listen to English, don't just hear it. Sync with it. Let it become a part of your breath, a part of your heart, a part of your rhythm. You might forget rules, but you will never forget feelings. And feelings are what make your English alive. Pause for a moment. Close your eyes again. And think, what does English mean to you? Is it a skill? A dream? A way to connect with the world? Whatever your reason, hold it gently. That's your why. And when your why is clear, your words find direction. This is the beginning of your sync, the point where your mind and your language meet. Where you stop fighting and start flowing. Where English is not something you learn, it's something you become. Soft, cinematic piano rises, warm and emotional. You're doing great. You're already syncing slowly, gently, with awareness. This is the first step. And from here, we'll go deeper into thought, into emotion, into language. You'll learn to build inner focus, control your voice, and speak from your center. Because fluency is not a race. It's a rhythm. And today, you've begun to hear it. Listen to the sound of your breathing. In and out. Soft. Steady. Peaceful. This is the same rhythm your English voice needs, calm, balanced, and full of life. Every person who learns a new language has two voices. One is the outer voice, the sound you make, the accent, the pronunciation, the confidence people can hear. The other is the inner voice, the voice in your mind, where English begins, before you speak it out loud. And today, we'll connect them. Most learners try to fix their outer voice first. They listen to native speakers, copy accents, watch videos, and repeat phrases. That's good. But without an inner sync, it never feels natural. Because your outer voice always follows your inner state. If your mind is tense, your speech becomes tight. If your mind is calm, your voice flows easily. So before you speak better English, you must feel better English. Let's try something. Imagine you are sitting in a cafe. You hear people talking around you in English. At first, your heart beats faster. You listen, trying to understand every word. But then, you take a deep breath. You relax. You stop trying to catch each word. You just listen to the flow. Suddenly, it feels easier. You start to understand more. Why? Because your brain finally relaxes. When your brain relaxes, English enters naturally. When you force it, it escapes. Confidence begins inside silence, not in speaking loudly, but in being comfortable with stillness. You can't control the world. You can only control your breath, your thoughts, and your focus. When those are calm, your English becomes confident, naturally. Now, let's look at what happens when you speak English. Before any word leaves your mouth, a thought appears in your mind. That thought forms into language. Then, your body, your lips, your tongue, your breath translate that thought into sound. That's the full journey of one English sentence: thought, emotion, voice. So if you want to change your English voice, you must start before the sound, at the level of emotion and thought. When you think, I might make a mistake, your voice becomes small. When you think, it's okay to be imperfect, your voice becomes free. Confidence doesn't mean being perfect. Confidence means being real, being present, even when you make mistakes. Let me tell you a small story. There was a student named Rena. She studied English for 7 years. She could write essays, read books, and understand movies. But every time she tried to speak, her throat became tight. Her words stopped. One day, I asked her, Rena, what are you afraid of? She said, I'm afraid people will think my English sounds bad. I smiled and said, Rena, the only person judging your English right now is you. She looked down, silent for a moment. Then she whispered, yes. I think too much before I speak. That was the problem. Her mind spoke louder than her voice. She was trapped in thoughts, not in speech. So we began with silence. For 1 week, she didn't speak at all. She only listened. She shadowed slowly, breathed with each line, and imagined herself speaking in calm confidence. By the end of the week, she recorded her voice again. It was softer, slower, and full of emotion. She didn't sound like a robot anymore. She sounded alive. Do you know what changed? Not her grammar. Not her vocabulary. Her inner voice. And you can do the same. Right now, wherever you are, at home, walking, maybe sitting in a quiet place, place your hand on your chest. Feel your heartbeat. That's your rhythm. Now, try to speak one simple line, softly. I am enough. Don't rush. Breathe. Say it again. I am enough. Now add another. I am learning English with peace. Feel how your body reacts. Your breath slows. Your shoulders relax. That's not just emotion, that's fluency training. You're teaching your nervous system to stay calm while speaking English. That's real confidence. Confidence isn't about speaking loudly. It's about speaking calmly, even when your heart beats fast. Let's take another example. Imagine you're in a meeting or classroom and someone asks you a question in English. Your brain suddenly starts to panic. You think, what if I can't answer? What if I sound stupid? That's the moment you lose sync. Your thoughts become faster than your breath. Your words get stuck. But if you train yourself to pause, to breathe before answering, you'll notice something magical. You'll think more clearly. Your words will find their way out naturally. Because English flows best when your breath leads, not your fear. So here's a small practice for you, something you can do every day. When you wake up, before you touch your phone, take 1 minute and speak to yourself. Say something simple in English, even one line like, Good morning. I'm ready for today. Do it slowly. Let your words follow your breath. If you make mistakes, smile. You're not failing, you're sinking. You see, most learners live in a war with themselves. They fight every sentence. They judge every mistake. But the truth is, every mistake is a rhythm, a beat, in your personal English song. If you accept it, you learn faster. If you fight it, you freeze. So next time you speak, remember this. You are not performing. You are communicating. You are not showing English. You are sharing yourself through English. The world doesn't need perfect English. It needs real voices. It needs your voice. And your voice is unique. It carries your history, your emotions, your identity. Never try to sound like someone else completely. You can learn from them, yes. But your real power comes from your own tone, your own rhythm, your own story. When you speak with honesty, people listen, even if your grammar is not perfect. Because emotion speaks louder than accuracy. Take another breath. Let your shoulders drop. Listen to these words slowly and repeat them softly, either in your mind or out loud. I allow myself to make mistakes. I trust my English voice. I am syncing with calm confidence. Beautiful. That is your practice. Every time you speak, say it first inside your mind. That's how you begin from peace, not fear. Fluency is like water. It doesn't rush. It flows. Sometimes it moves slowly, but it never stops. Sometimes it hits rocks, mistakes, but it continues anyway. That's what your journey is. When you stop expecting perfection, English becomes joy. When you stop comparing, English becomes freedom. Remember, you are not learning English to sound like someone else. You are learning English to express yourself. That's why finding your inner voice is the most powerful step in this deep self-sync journey. In the next section, we'll go even deeper. We'll talk about how to build emotional connection with English, how to think and feel directly in English without translation. That's where true flow begins. For now, take one last deep breath with me. Inhale and exhale. Let your body feel light. Let your mind be still. You're not just learning, you're transforming. Your voice is growing stronger every moment. You are syncing beautifully. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine waking up early in the morning. The sky is still quiet. You open your window. Cool air touches your face. The city hasn't fully awakened yet. You take a deep breath. And for a few seconds, everything is still. Now imagine, in that calm silence, a thought appears. It comes softly, without translation, without effort. It says, "It's a beautiful day." You didn't plan it. You didn't translate it from your language. It just came, naturally, smoothly, in English. That right there is the magic moment we're working toward. When English becomes part of your inner voice. When your thoughts begin to breathe in English. This doesn't happen by force. It happens when emotion meets repetition, when words meet feelings, when your mind starts to trust the rhythm of English. You see, translation is like a wall. It stands between your heart and your words. When you think in your native language first, then try to change it into English, the emotion weakens. You lose the natural tone, the flow, the life. But when you think directly in English, emotion flows freely. Let's take a simple example. Imagine you want to say, "I miss you." If you think it first in your language, then translate, it sounds mechanical, like a phrase you learned from a textbook. But when you feel it, when you truly mean it, the sound changes. Your voice softens, your emotion rises, and the words carry your heart. I miss you. Just 3 simple words, but full of meaning, full of emotion. That's what thinking in English really means, not grammar, not memory, but emotional connection. So, how do you build that? Let's go step by step. The first step is observation. When you see something around you, your phone, the sunlight, a cup of coffee, try to name it in English. Not as a translation exercise, but as a small connection. You look at the sky and say, "The sky is calm." You feel the air and say, "It's cold today." You hear a sound and say, "That bird sounds happy." Simple, right? But powerful. Because every time you connect an English word to a real emotion or experience, you build a new neural bridge, a new connection in your brain. This is how children learn their first language, not by studying, but by connecting sound, image, and feeling. You can do the same at any age, at any level. The second step is shadowing with feeling. Most learners shadow mechanically. They copy the sound, but not the heart. They repeat without emotion, without imagination. But here, we'll do it differently. When you shadow, imagine what the speaker feels. If the speaker says, "I was scared," you feel the fear for a moment. If they say, "I was happy," you smile. You're not just repeating, you're living the English. That's emotional shadowing. And then comes the third step, reflection. At the end of each day, think about your experiences in English. Don't write long paragraphs. Just simple reflections like, "Today I felt tired. Today I laughed with my friend. Today I learned something new." These short emotional sentences help your brain believe that English is your real voice. Let's practice together right now. Repeat softly after me, with calm breath and emotion. I feel peaceful. I am listening. I am thinking in English. I am connecting my words and feelings. Beautiful. You see, when you feel the words, your pronunciation automatically improves. When you relax, your tongue and lips move naturally. When you smile while speaking, your voice becomes warmer. Everything connects. Let me tell you another story about a man named Daniel. He lived in Japan and wanted to speak English fluently. He studied grammar every day for years. He read hundreds of books. But when he tried to talk, he froze. One day, he changed his method completely. He stopped memorizing and started feeling. He listened to English podcasts while walking. He closed his eyes and imagined the stories happening to him. If the podcast said, "She walked into the rain," he imagined himself walking in the rain. If it said, "He smiled at her," he felt the smile. After 3 months, something amazing happened. His mind started to think in English naturally. Not because he learned more words, but because he built emotional memory. That's what you need too, emotional memory. When English words connect to real emotions, they become part of you forever. That's why this journey is called deep self-sync. Because it's not just language learning. It's emotional alignment. Every time you listen to English, ask yourself, what is the feeling behind this sentence? What is the emotion under this tone? Even silence in English has emotion. When someone pauses, when a sentence slows down, that's emotion speaking. Fluency is not only about words, it's also about energy, rhythm, feeling. So next time you listen to a movie or podcast, don't just hear the words, feel the mood. Is the speaker happy? Curious? Angry? Calm? Then, when you repeat, match that emotion. You're not only training pronunciation, you're syncing emotion. Remember this rule. Open book fluency equals emotion plus rhythm plus repetition. Not speed. Not perfection. Not grammar. Just emotion. Rhythm. Repetition. Now let's do a small creative exercise. Imagine your day in English right now. Close your eyes and describe it softly. Use only simple sentences. For example, I woke up late. I made coffee. The air was cold. I felt lazy. I smiled when I heard my favorite song. Do you feel that? Each sentence is a small piece of emotion. And that emotion gives English its life. You don't have to think hard. You just have to feel. If you make mistakes, that's okay. Fluency doesn't mean speaking perfectly. It means speaking naturally, without fear. Because your brain learns fastest when it's relaxed and emotional. That's why listening to calm storytelling like this helps. Because it connects your emotions and your focus. The more you listen, the more your mind starts to predict patterns naturally. That's how you begin to think in English. And thinking in English is freedom. It means you no longer need to stop, translate, correct, and speak. It means English has become part of your inner rhythm, part of your identity. So, as we move deeper into this session, remember, don't chase the language. Invite it in. Don't force understanding. Let it grow quietly, like a flower opening. You're already doing it right now, listening, breathing, feeling each word slowly. You are syncing your thoughts with English. You are training your emotions to speak. Take a deep breath. Smile softly. And say in your mind, I am not learning English. Pause. I am living in English. That is the real transformation. The music swells slightly, emotional yet peaceful, like sunrise breaking through clouds. Your journey so far has taken you through awareness, calm, and emotion. You've learned to tune your mind, to find your voice, and now to think with feeling. In the next section, we will go even deeper into connection. You will learn how to connect your English voice with other people, to listen actively, and to respond with empathy, the highest form of fluency. For now, rest in this silence. Feel proud of your progress. You are syncing beautifully mind, voice, and emotion. Imagine this. You're sitting in a quiet cafe. Someone is talking to you in English. Their voice flows smoothly. Their words have music. You listen carefully. And for a moment, you forget about your grammar, your accent, your fear. You're just there. Present. You're not trying to understand every word. You're feeling the meaning. That right there is real connection. True English fluency is not only about speaking clearly. It's about connecting deeply. It's about listening with your heart, not just your ears. Because when you listen with emotion, your brain opens naturally. You understand more, remember longer, and respond beautifully. When someone speaks, most learners listen for vocabulary. They think, what does that word mean? But fluent listeners don't just hear the words, they sense the energy behind them. They listen for tone, rhythm, emotion. For example, when someone says, I'm fine, it could mean, I'm really okay. Or, I'm hurt, but I don't want to talk. You can feel the difference, not from the words, but from the tone. That's emotional listening. And it's the secret to natural conversation. Every word carries emotion, and every pause carries meaning. So when you listen, listen with your whole body. Notice how their voice rises, falls, hesitates. That's where true English understanding lives. Let's practice. Close your eyes. Imagine you hear someone say softly, I'm tired. Now, what do you feel? Do you sense sadness? Exhaustion? Frustration? That's listening beyond words. That's empathy through language. Now imagine they say the same words, but smiling. I'm tired. Laughs. Same sentence. Different feeling. Because the emotion changes everything. So next time you listen to English, a podcast, a movie, a friend, don't focus only on vocabulary. Ask yourself, what emotion is behind these words? What rhythm are they using? That's how your listening becomes alive. Now, let's talk about your response. Most learners prepare their answers in advance. They think too hard. They worry. What if I make a mistake? What if I sound wrong? But natural fluency doesn't come from preparation. It comes from presence. You don't need perfect grammar. You need emotional truth. If someone says, I lost my job, a natural, human response is not a perfect sentence. It's empathy. You might say, oh, that's hard. Are you okay? Simple. Honest. That's the kind of English people remember. Or if someone says, I finally finished my project. You don't need to reply with advanced vocabulary. You can just say, wow, that's amazing. You must feel so relieved. Emotion first. Grammar second. That's how you connect. Let's try a few examples together. 1. They say, I'm nervous about my interview. You say, you'll do great. You've prepared so well. 2. They say, I'm not sure what to do next. You say, take your time. You'll find your way. 3. They say, I feel lonely. You say softly, I understand. You're not alone. Notice how simple these sentences are. No complex structures. But they're full of emotion. That's what makes communication real. Part 3, Presence in Conversation. When you speak English, don't rush. Pause. Look into the other person's eyes, or if it's online, look at their face. Feel their energy. English isn't just about words. It's about rhythm, the gentle dance of conversation. Here's a secret. Native speakers often speak less, but connect more. They use silence. They use tone. They use emotion. You can do that too. Try this rhythm. Listen fully. Feel deeply. Respond simply. That's fluency. When you connect with others, emotional vocabulary helps you express yourself clearly. Let's build a few layers of emotional words softly and naturally. When you feel happy, grateful, excited, peaceful, content, joyful. When you feel sad, hurt, disappointed, lonely, heartbroken, tired. When you feel strong, confident, brave, focused, calm, grounded. When you feel afraid, worried, nervous, uncertain, insecure, anxious. Every time you name a feeling in English, you make it real. You bring emotion to life. You speak your truth in a new language. Try this simple sentence pattern. I feel underscore 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 because underscore 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 dot. For example, I feel peaceful because I'm learning to let go. I feel proud because I'm growing. I feel tired because I gave my best. This is how you become emotionally fluent, not just grammatically fluent. Water Wave Part 5, Flow and Connection. Fluency isn't a goal. It's a rhythm. A wave. A flow between your emotion and your expression. When you connect with someone in English, you enter that wave together, listening, feeling, responding, flowing. Let's experience it through a short guided practice. Soft instrumental fades in, light piano and ambient hum. Close your eyes. Imagine you're talking to a friend in English. You both feel comfortable. No fear. No pressure. Just presence. You listen to them carefully. You smile. Then, when it's your turn, you speak slowly from the heart. Your words flow softly. You say, I understand how you feel. That sounds wonderful. I'm proud of you. Each word feels honest. Each sound feels like part of you. This is not just English practice. This is human connection. Finally, remember this. The most powerful speakers are not the ones who talk the most. They are the ones who listen the deepest. Silence in conversation is not emptiness, it's presence. It gives space for emotion to breathe. It shows that you care. Everyone, even native speakers, feel it sometimes. But the difference between fear and freedom is not in your English level. It's in your energy. Today, you'll learn how to move that energy from fear to flow, from tension to trust, from silence to self-expression. Your voice is not just sound. It's your identity. It carries your memories, your beliefs, your emotions. So when you speak English, you're not just translating words. You're sharing yourself. But sometimes we hide. We shrink our voices because we're afraid of being judged. We whisper instead of speaking clearly. We pretend we're smaller than we are. Let's stop that. Because your voice matters. Every accent, every rhythm, every tone, it's part of your truth. You see, confidence isn't about speaking perfectly. It's about speaking honestly. Confidence doesn't come from knowing every word. It comes from trusting your voice, even when you forget the word you were looking for. Take a deep breath again. Place your hand on your chest. Feel your heartbeat. Now say softly in your mind or out loud, my voice is enough. Repeat it. My voice is enough. You don't need to sound like anyone else. You just need to sound like you. Let's talk about one of the biggest fears in English speaking, making mistakes. Every learner feels it. You're afraid someone might laugh. You're afraid someone might correct you in front of others. You're afraid you'll forget a simple word. But what if I told you, mistakes are not the enemy. They're actually your teacher. Every mistake you make is a sign of movement. It means you're learning, you're growing, you're trying. Think of a child learning to walk. Do they fall? Yes. Do they cry sometimes? Yes. But do they stop walking? Never. They keep trying, falling, laughing, and standing again. And one day, they walk, naturally, beautifully. Your English journey is the same. You're allowed to stumble. You're allowed to pause. You're allowed to be imperfect. Because every wrong word you say brings you closer to your right one. And when you stop fearing mistakes, you start discovering your real power. So from today, don't try to be perfect. Try to be real. Try to be alive. Here's something most people forget. Confidence begins with your breath. When you feel nervous, your breath becomes short. Your voice becomes tight. Your words get stuck. But when you breathe deeply, your mind relaxes, your heart slows down, and your words begin to flow. Let's try a short breathing practice together. Sit comfortably. Close your eyes. Breathe in through your nose for 4 counts. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it gently for 2 counts. 1, 2. Now exhale through your mouth for 6 counts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Do this again. Inhale peace. Hold calm. Exhale fear. You're training your body to stay relaxed so your voice can rise naturally. The secret to calm speaking is not to control your words, it's to calm your energy. Once you do that, English begins to feel effortless. When you speak English from memory, you sound robotic. When you speak from emotion, you sound alive. Your goal is not to impress people. Your goal is to connect. For example, if you say, "I'm happy," say it like you feel it. Smile when you say it. Let your eyes shine. If you say, "I'm sad," slow your voice down. Let it sound soft, a little heavy. The magic of your speech is not in your vocabulary, it's in your emotion. Try speaking with your heart, not your head. If you feel grateful, let that warmth reach your tone. If you feel proud, let that strength fill your voice. That's how you make people feel your English, not just understand it. Every person on this earth has a story to tell, and that includes you. Your story has lessons, emotions, beauty. When you share it, you build connection. You don't need to use perfect English for that. You just need courage. Maybe your story is simple, like how you learned to be patient, or how you found peace after a hard time. When you share these moments, you invite others to see the world through your eyes. That's powerful. Because language is not just for communication. It's for connection, healing, and understanding. So next time someone asks you, "Tell me about yourself," don't freeze. Smile. And speak from your heart. You can say, "I'm still learning English, but I'm proud of how far I've come." You can say, "I love learning from people like you." Or even, "Sometimes I feel shy, but I'm trying every day." That honesty makes you human. And that's what people fall in love with, not perfection, but truth. Confidence isn't loud. It's quiet. It's the calm voice that says, "I can do this." It's the small step you take every day when you practice English, even when no one listens. It's the courage to try again after you stumble. The courage to speak slowly when the world moves fast. Real confidence is not about how you sound. It's about how you feel while you speak. You don't have to speak fast. You don't have to sound perfect. You just have to be present. When you speak, imagine you're talking to a friend. Be warm. Be kind. Don't rush your words. Every sentence you say is a gift to the listener. So take your time. Feel your message. Let your voice rise like a wave, fall like a breath, and land softly in their heart. The music softens. The narrator's voice slows, peaceful and glowing. Right now, you've learned something powerful. You've learned that confidence doesn't come from grammar books, it comes from your spirit. You've learned that fear can be transformed into focus. That mistakes are your teachers. That your voice, your true voice, is already enough. Every time you breathe, you find rhythm. Every time you pause, you find peace. Every time you speak, you create connection. That is emotional confidence. That is fluency with feeling. Take one last deep breath. Inhale calm. Exhale doubt. And say softly, I can speak from my heart. Because you can. You always could. And now you're learning to trust it. Take a deep breath. Let your shoulders relax. Feel the silence inside you. You've come a long way. You've walked through awareness, emotion, connection, and confidence. You've learned to listen deeply, to speak slowly, to feel every word. And now, we arrive at the final transformation, harmony. Like this. I can do this. I am calm. I speak slowly. I share my heart. Simple. Peaceful. Natural. When you think with rhythm, your thoughts become sound. Your sound becomes expression. And your expression becomes effortless English. This is the secret most learners miss. Fluency doesn't begin when you speak. It begins when you think with rhythm. Now, let's explore presence. Presence means being fully here, not stuck in yesterday's mistake or tomorrow's worry. Just now. Just this breath. Just this word. When you speak English with presence, your energy changes. Your listener can feel you. You're not just saying words. You're sharing your soul. That's why people love good storytellers, not because they use difficult words, but because they're present. So when you practice English, slow down. Notice your breath. Notice your tone. Notice how your words touch the silence around them. That silence isn't empty, it's alive. It's the space where meaning grows. Language is not just a tool for communication. It's a mirror. When you speak English, you discover parts of yourself you didn't know. Maybe you realize you can be funny. Maybe you realize you can be kind. Maybe you realize you can be brave. Each new word gives you a new way to understand yourself. Each new sentence becomes a reflection of your inner world. That's why learning a language can be emotional, because it's not just learning words. It's learning who you are through those words. When you say, I am strong, you start to believe it. When you say, I am grateful, you start to feel it. That's not grammar, that's transformation. So every time you speak English, you are shaping your mind, your emotions, and your identity. That's harmony. That's growth. Look back for a moment. Remember how you began this practice. Maybe you felt nervous. Maybe you doubted yourself. Maybe you thought you were too slow, too shy, too imperfect. But now, listen to yourself. You've learned to breathe. You've learned to listen. You've learned to speak from your heart. You've learned that your English doesn't need to be perfect, it just needs to be alive. That's something to be proud of. Take a deep breath and say softly, I'm grateful for how far I've come. Again. I'm grateful for how far I've come. Gratitude turns fear into strength. Gratitude turns practice into peace. You don't need to compare yourself to anyone else. Your journey is your own. And every word you speak, every single one, is proof of your growth. Now, imagine you're standing once again in that quiet morning light, the same place where this journey began. You open your eyes. You breathe in softly. The world feels clear. You hear the sounds of English around you, voices, laughter, music. But now, you don't feel distant from it. You feel part of it. You think in English, feel in English, and speak in English, not perfectly, but peacefully. You've found your own rhythm, your own flow, your own sync. That's the final harmony, when language and life move together, when learning feels like breathing, when your voice becomes your home. You are no longer just learning English. You are living it. Soft strings fade out, the sound of wind, birds, quiet morning. Before we close, whisper these final affirmations. My English is growing every day. I speak with calm and confidence. I listen with patience and heart. I express myself with love. I am free in my voice. Let these words settle deep inside you. Let them become your truth. Because you've reached the harmony between your mind and your language. You've reached self-sync. And this is just the beginning of a new, fluent, and peaceful chapter of your life.